Sometimes you get what you want, and sometimes you get what you don't want, and sometimes you can't seem to get what you really want. And that's all right. This is how things happen. However, there is something that is more important than your desires. What is it? Well, it's standards. And it's been a theme so important recently in my life, so I want to tell you a little bit about it. And I hope you can be on the same wavelength and maybe get into this conversation, because standards are everything. They reflect your self-worth, and really everything in your life is reflected by your standards. Beautiful day, unlimited sparkle. You're watching Liv Kissper and Liv UNBOUND. And today I'm going to talk to you about standards, because a lot of people just think about what do I want and how do I achieve it and how do I get from A to B. However, standards are what should you be focusing on. And what is it? What does it mean? Well, they do reflect your self-worth. And everything in your life, if you look in your life right now, everything and everyone is reflected by your standards. And sometimes you established this standards a long time ago, maybe when you were a little child, just by looking at your parents, by looking at other people, what they're doing, and you agreed on, oh, right, unconsciously, right? So, all right, so these are my standards. And now this is how you function. And sometimes you complain that there is maybe some people in your life that you don't like. Maybe you have a job that you don't like. Maybe you eat something you don't like. I don't know, but maybe your health is not as good as you would like. But all these different areas are reflected according to standards. Because setting a high standard will completely change everything in your life. And today I'm going to tell you how to do that. How do you really raise your standards? But before I do that, I'm going to give you an example. What does it really mean to have a higher standard? And don't mistake it with having too high standards. So for example, if I go to a restaurant, which I don't go very often, but if I go to a restaurant, I'm a vegan. I eat vegan food only, mostly gluten-free. So I would ask for a vegan option. And so they give me a menu. There will be probably just one or two options to choose from. And I don't have to spend much energy on choosing from the whole menu. I just know I want the most healthy vegan food that they have on the menu. If it's not healthy, I'm not even going to have that. But I would know where to go. So for me, going to have such food is something that I don't have to spend so much energy on deciding. And we make decisions every day about everything. Even when you think you don't. Even when you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. When you say yes to something, you say no to something else. So we make a huge amount of decisions every day. And they are reflected by our standards. So now back to my example in the restaurant. And so I eat my food and I didn't have to spend much energy and much thought thinking about it. And when you ask them, what do you want to eat? They go like, oh, I'm easy. I want to eat anything. Well, easy actually reflect really low standards. And when people are easy, they go to a restaurant and they just get whatever, but they will spend a lot of time thinking about, they will have to see all the menu. After all, they maybe won't feel so good afterwards. They will just eat anything that they will find, anything that anyone will sell them with good marketing, anything that appears good to them, because they don't have that standard. And sometimes it's funny because people ask me, well, you must have, maybe you're not vegan. It doesn't matter at all. But people do ask me sometimes. They say, hey, you must have such a big discipline to be vegan, because there's so many amazing options and you just don't want them. And I'm like, well, it's really not about discipline at all. I just really don't even go there. It's not even in my mindset. It's just not an option for me. I don't have to have this cognitive dissonance inside of me, because it's not just what I want and don't want. It reflects my standards. So now, how do you raise your standards? Because really, once you do raise your standards, then all your life will be raising and your quality of your life will be reflected in that. And maybe you have low standards. Maybe you have standards just to pay your bills. And so that's what happens every month. You just pay your bill until you have a higher standards, and then you can really start be saving you can start saving some money or buying something else. Or standards really reflect anything in health, with people you're hanging around. Like, do you settle for people who are nagging, for people who are not really positive around you or who are not really supporting you? Because really it's about you more than anything. So now let's get to the standards and how to raise them. So there will be 3 steps to raising standards. And every time you catch yourself that you say, oh, I should be doing that, or I should, every time you hear yourself saying the word should, just pause. That's the most important part. Just pause. Because this is the secret of raising standards. Your standards are crippled in your word should. And now you can change it. And you can decide whether you want to stay in the should world, which is like really low standards, and you will really use a lot of energy in this way, or you want to be in the highest standards and you will use the word must. So from now on, let's say I want to lose some weight, and I'm gonna be thinking, I shouldn't be really eating I should be eating better, or I shouldn't be eating these cookies. However, it doesn't mean any difference. It doesn't make any difference, because as soon as cookies come, I'll be tempted. The standards raising comes when you really decide, I must eat good from now on. And then magic happens. And sometimes, especially with me, I have short-term memory. So I remember only the good things usually, or the recent things. And when I want to change my standards, I would write down things that I want, and they reflect my own self-worth. And then I would write down on the other part things that if I don't get that, how will they reflect my lack of self-worth? So for example, with the cookies example, I would go into, how will eating healthy reflect my self-worth? And I will write all these beautiful things that will really make me feel better. Like, wow, I'll be healthy, I'll be radiant. Maybe I'll find some alternatives to healthy cookies, which are even better. And on the other column, I would write how it doesn't reflect my self-worth. So if I stay in the should world, what will happen is that maybe I will go fat and unhealthy, and I will just have low energy, eating all these like white sugar and cookie things. But this is just an example. I'm not saying cookies are bad. This is just an example. So it's all about standards, and different people have different standards. And once you do write it down, it's super important, or it's super revealing, because then you can have it right in front of you, and you will know and you will remember what will you get if you raise the standards and if you don't. And then the last part is really important. The last part is just like in changing any belief, because you are changing your standards, which is very similar. You want to be looking for proof. You want to be looking for proof that this new standard really works. So how do you do that? Well, let's say with the cookie example, before you might be just thinking, oh, but I'm so hungry. I really need that cookie. I'm feeling really emotionally well. I need that cookie. So now, whenever you catch yourself maybe eating well, you really want to acknowledge yourself for that. Or you want to make that effort and find a recipe for a better cookie that's healthy for you. All these things, you want to look for proof that your standards are getting high. And once your standards are really high, and you know that you can settle, and you start seeing the proof, and you start feeling that proof that it's really good for you, you start feeling really good about yourself, because it reflects your self-value, your self-worth. So in that moment, your standard is set, because from now on you know that you can't go anywhere else. Like, this is where you want to be, because to have a self-worth really high, the way you want it, is everything, and the standards follow from there. And that cookie won't be even tempting anymore, because on one side you have the cookie, on the other side you have high self-worth. Which one do you choose? Yes, this one. But yeah, it takes some time, some effort, and a little bit of attention. So look at your life and see really, like, what is your standards with people, with health, with your career? What are your standards, and where do you need a little push to make them a little bit higher? Don't be afraid to raise your standards. So you can comment to this video. I would love to know what are your opinions and standards and how they compare to desires, maybe, or what you're going through in your life right now. It's always super interesting to read your comments, and for other people who read those comments too, they always reflect to each other. It's amazing. And how far are you willing to go to raise your standards? Please comment, share, and subscribe to my channel.